Now, normally we don't talk about TV show things that much here on the AWN podcast, mostly because we'd have to keep doing this up every week and it can be kind of a little brutal at times. But my partner in crime, Heathie, who's here of course, actually suggested that we do this because this upcoming Wednesday, October 2nd, will be the first ever episode of All Elite Wrestling Dynamite on TNT, at least in the States. Unfortunately, you UK folks are a little bit in a different situation here, but, we'll find a way. Life always finds a way. And I mean, this is a pretty stacked card, to be fair, what we've got going on. We've got several championship, or at least only one championship match, but we still have some other major matchups as well. We have a match that was supposed to originally happen at Double or Nothing happening. We've got a couple of decent singles matches, and we have a six-man tag where we don't even know who one of the teams is going to be, or at least two-thirds of one team in particular. But we'll get to that when we get to that. I'm Coffee Lover 239, as with me as always is Heathie, and thanks once again, actually, by the way, for suggesting this to me.
No problem. I feel like it's gonna be a big week ahead of wrestling. You have NXT coming up with a stack card in there, but it's AEW's first real beginners look into what they do for the weekly shows. So it will be good to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, no kidding. And in general, the wrestling world is pretty much ablaze right now. So starting Monday, September 30th, we all better be on our A game here because there's a lot of stuff going on just that week alone. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the matches. Our first match is Cody versus Sami Guevara. Don't really have too much information for this one, unfortunately. We do know that Cody has been on kind of a decent streak, actually, though, as of late. And in keeping in touch with the stats, seeing as how his singles run has been pretty solid, he will actually be facing Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship at Full Gear, which will be on November 9th. However, though, he does have another stop on the road here, and that's basically facing up against Sami Guevara. Heathie, who do you think's gonna win?
Cody having a really good record so far. I believe he's undefeated in AEW's competition. I'm pretty sure he has a tag team match at some point, quite possibly against the Bucks.
Yeah, it was him and Dustin. It was at, what was it? I'm trying to remember. I think, was it Fight for the Fallen?
I think it was Fighter Fest.
Either Fighter Fest or Fight for the Fallen. One of those two. I can check real quick. I think it was, though, let me look. It was Fight for the Fallen, yeah. Continue.
So this has been built up as the first TV match in AEW's history. It seems like the obvious pick to go for Cody, but then again, Sami Guevara is one of the he's one of the brightest upstarts in AEW. He's only 26, I believe. He's a AAA cruiserweight champion. So already he's been exposed to the bright lights of Mexico. They're putting over this idea that if Cody were to lose, then maybe calling into question of, is Cody ready for this world title opportunity? Should he put his number one contendership on the line against Sami Guevara? But I feel that Cody and Jericho is the big money match required right now. And if Cody were to lose to Sami, then maybe a rematch between the two, or someone else who's got a high win-loss ratio, and Cody were to win, it would like one step forward, one step back. So I think they just need to go over with with what many people are saying, maybe predictable, but definitely the most logical standpoint here. I think Cody needs to keep building this winning momentum, really put him over as a big threat to Jericho in the run up to Full Gear. So I'm going to go for Cody to beat Sami.
Yeah, that would make the sense here, because we got to make him, even though he has taken the one tag loss still, I mean, hell, it just makes sense to keep him going strong, because if he loses a bit, they would throw everything into question and all out of whack, and it shows you that they're still taking the stats thing here about wins and stuff and counting into title championship matches, or like who gets a championship match, they're taking that into account seriously already off the gate. We can definitely tell. And if he were to lose here, it would throw that whole thing a whack. I'm sure Guevara will definitely flourish at some point throughout the company, maybe when they introduce a mid-card title, because I don't think we have a mid-card title in AEW. Yeah.
There's women's, there's tag, and there's the world title.
Yeah,
I think that'll just be
world, women's, and tag. I think it might take a little while before they introduce their the mid-card title. Maybe have their version of the Intercontinental Championship or something like that. But yeah, I don't think... we'll probably address Cody and Jericho when we get to that point in November. But yeah, Cody going over here would make the more sense to me. Our next match is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho and 2 mystery partners. So yeah, this is what I was referring to earlier when we didn't know 2/3 of the one team in the 6-man tag. Jericho's gonna have 2 mystery partners helping him out, against Kenny and the Bucks. Obviously, Kenny and Chris Jericho have had quite a bit of battles throughout the recent last year or so, and going into this year. Of course, they faced off at a Double or Nothing, and Jericho shockingly won with the goddamn Judas effect, as I'm going to be calling it that from here on out, because it's not that good of a finishing move. Maybe as a signature, and then building into the walls, perhaps, but I don't know, really. Yeah, but the thing is, we don't know who his mystery partners are gonna be, though. That's the thing. There's some possibility of who could be. Oh, could it be a surprise debut? Or maybe it could be, I'm thinking, the former LAX Ortiz and Santana, if I remember correctly, because they actually made a shock appearance at, and was it? Yeah, All Out after the ladder match, and wreaked havoc there on both the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros. So that was a nice little surprise there to see them in the AEW. Edie, who do you think's gonna win?
Well, yeah, I mean, you do bring up the point of Ortiz and Santana could be making their debuts, official AEW match debuts as mystery partners of wait, never mind. Yeah, okay. So, and here's the thing: they did attack the Lucha Brothers, but you know, the former LAX don't seem like the type of team to be making any alliances with other teams. They just seem they'll go for whoever. So I don't think they'll have any problem partnering up with Chris Jericho to face the Young Bucks alongside Kenny Omega. As you mentioned before, Omega and Jericho, long storied history back there. They had the match for the US title in New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom 12, which I believe Omega won. Jericho did get a win back at Double or Nothing. They won a piece. As for future implications and who's going to win this match, I feel like, well, Omega really hasn't got to the best start in AEW with its win-loss ratio. I feel like they could build a storyline out of that. It seems like they're already starting to do that on Being the Elite, with Omega starting to lose the plot a bit. So what I think is going to happen here is Kenny's going to take a loss, but it'll be a member of LAX, former LAX, Tito, Ortiz and Santana. One of them's going to be pinning the Young Bucks, and I think that's going to set up a tag match at Full Gear. So yeah, I'm going to go with Chris Jericho and the 2 mystery partners, which I'm counting on Ortiz and Santana being them to get the win.
I would hope so too. Yeah, indeed. It would probably make a whole load of sense indeed. Yeah, I really think they have been planting seeds for the storyline with the way Kenny is slowly turning in Being the Elite. Like, for those of you who've been keeping up with it, which you should if you haven't already. And this would probably make sense indeed here. And sooner or later, he's probably going to snap, fully turn, and there's going to be some crazy stuff going down. So we'll go with Jericho. So I'll go with Jericho and his mystery partners as well. And our next match is Rhea versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's World Championship. Oh, so much for Britt Baker actually getting the win on that Battle Royale. But damn, I was so close. Right down to the bottom two, and then yeah, it's probably happened to the best of us at some point, but shit. Okay, anyways, back to this match though. So, like I said, Nyla Rose earned her spot by winning the Women's Casino Battle Royale at not Double or Nothing, All Out. Blah, I'm getting my names all over the place. Well, it's crazy. It's so much to keep up. What do you expect, folks? Anyways, later that night as well, Riho defeated Hikaru Shida and earned this spot as well. And now, here we are. In the typical run of David versus Goliath, we have yet small versus big again. Except this time, it's on the side of the women, which, although we've seen in the past, I mean, we've had Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, I don't think, other than that, I don't really recall seeing it that much, at least, though. Still, this should be interesting nonetheless. Edie, who do you think's gonna win?
Well, if you look at this from a kayfabe-wise sense, you have Riho who beat Hikaru Shida in a one-on-one contest, and sure, Shida is a Joshi in her own right, and she is pretty tough to beat from the looks of it, and the moveset is incredible. But look at Nyla Rose, outlasting 20 other women to win the Casino's Battle Royale. She's been built up to this brute force of nature, this freak of nature that cannot be stopped. As to who I think is going to win this match, I mean, I don't know where Riho goes from there. If she goes to a title match with Shida or a rematch with Rose, I think there's a lot more options storyline wise. If you go with Nyla to win, you can have Britt Baker elevate herself to the point where she can defend, she can fight for that Women's World Championship. You can have Riho go for another crack at it. Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose is a match I would really heavily be invested in. And I don't think Nyla Rose is a heel. I think she is neutral, but she'll be leaning more towards that heel role considering she is the giant. She is Goliath and Riho's David in the situation. So I think that I can't buy into Riho winning. So I'm going to say that Riho puts up a hell of a fight. But the first AEW Women's World Champion is going to be Nyla Rose, in my opinion.
Well, that would be interesting to see. Except there was a little thing, a little bit of controversy involving her with some stuff on social media with Nyla Rose and what she said. Yeah.
Here's the thing about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've had this thing, not beaten into our heads, but ingrained into our head that and this is from WWE, that if the superstar goes a bit out of line, either in an interview or a tweet or whatever, they get punished for it. I mean, we've had so many stories in the past of remember that story of the Miz just I think it was eating Benoit's chicken or something like that. It was some story back in the mid 2000s that cost him the locker room approval and had him out getting changed in the bathroom for 6 months.
Yeah, he was basically eating chicken and accidentally got crumbs of it over Benoit's gym bag. Benoit wasn't too happy, kicked him out of the locker room for a good while, and then unfortunately, because of what happened, Undertaker was the one who had to let him back in because of, I
mean, I know there was respect in the wrestling industry, but WWE culture has it that you're punished more for the smallest of mistakes, and I'm hoping that it's 2019, it's more accepting culture that AEW doesn't really incorporate that sort of strictness, and Nyla can hope it's a mistake and move on for that.
Yeah,
I think it'll be really petty, maybe the word for it, I don't know, but let's say petty for now, to have her pay for her mistakes. Say if she as of this moment, or before she posted that tweet insulting the fan, if she was booked to win the title, and because of what she said that it got pulled from her, I think it was just a bit of a moment of madness from her. I think she has apologised, and I'm sure she's apologised to everyone in the locker room for put negative connotations on the superstars that represent the AEW brand. So, hopefully that is all, it's just water under the bridge for now, because I think it's just going to be Nyla to win. I mean, looking at it just from a pure, on paper, she's going to be dominating that match, and unless Rio gets a small package.
Yeah, but you never know, really. Anything is so unpredictable at times with what and what's happening, and I guess you've got some points there, but then again, you can't just go spouting off whatever without some kind of remorse. But let's just say this is why, for the most part, celebrities don't actually hold their own Twitter accounts at times. This is why you hire someone to do it, to keep an eye on things for you. Otherwise, this type of shit happens, quite frankly. Although you keep hiring too much of the same people, and well, you get Sasha Banks and Seth Rollins. Oh god, that was blah, but you get what I mean. Get Sasha Banks, Seth Rollins tweeting out almost the same idea, different matches, virtually almost line for line with some changes. But let's just take that out of consideration. Let's just take that out and say it never happened. To be fair, we could have, on one hand, the Japanese side still, and maybe stick it to WWE that we could still give Japanese stars the chance they deserve, unlike you fucks who've dropped the ball with Shinsuke Nakamura, you dropped the ball with Asuka, and you dropped the ball with Kairi Sane, and then you put those last two, now that Carmella's 24/7 champion, in that fucking line of jobbers. It's just running after the Benny Hill line. Oh, that made me sad. That fucking just broke my heart.
Hideo and Tommy they drop the ball on him. They just have this weird thing with Japanese wrestlers, don't they?
It's
Nobody has potential.
It's ridiculous, really. It's and now Itami is back as Kenta in NJPW, and he's honestly doing much better than at this point. So you could have Riho win and honestly stick it to them. On the other hand, you could have a dominating Nyla Rose and maybe, show you actually how to do a real dominating big woman champion, considering they kind of dropped the ball a little bit with Nia Jax a little after her run, had win at Mania 34. And honestly, I thought that was probably one of the better things about that Mania, and you could actually do it properly and have her go down in a blaze of glory, unlike that cheap cop-out that happened at last year's Money in the Bank when Little Miss Bliss cashed in on the same night to win the goddamn championship, only to get destroyed by Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam. It's really tough, to be honest. Both scenarios, personally, if I was to think personally, I really would like to see them try and stick it to WWE for the fact that they've dropped the ball on so many Japanese wrestlers. But I don't think that's really going to happen too early on. But you never know. There's been enough shots between them on both sides. So mark my word, chances are they will probably do that at some point. But for now, I'm just going to go with Nyla Rose. Our next match is MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, versus Brandon Cutler. So, yeah, these two are facing off for some reason. I can't really find much history, to be honest. Hell, there's not even a Wikipedia page for Brandon Cutler, so yeah, that's a little odd. Oh, holy shit. I just realized this looking at MJF. He was actually born a year before me. Holy shit, we are so close in age, it is goddamn scary for me. Yeah, but looking at this, I don't know if we can really find any major history between the two, so honest to God, actually, I'm not really sure. Who do you think's gonna win?
I mean, I probably knows as much about Brandon Cutler as you. All I can gather is from latest episode being again, watch it. It's genuinely as important to AEW's narrative as the Road 2 storylines you get for every pay-per-view. So what I can tell, Brandon Cutler is a veteran, and I think he was offered 2 contracts by the Young Bucks, who are his good friends. One behind the scenes, one in ring. I'm not sure if that's imperative to storyline. That's just what was shown. MGF just been going on about how much of a nerd Brandon Cutler is, how much of an everyman he is, how he's good, but he's not an MGF. He's not great. It's going to be one of them wrestling tropes where these two start off not even-handed at all. MGF's getting the better of him. He's mocking him. He's taunting the crowd. He's not paying much attention to them. Maybe Brandon Cutler sort of finds his way back in. Earns his money. Earns his stripes. Proves why he's got a contract and he's not just doing that out of networking with the Young Bucks. But unless you want to paint MJF as an absolute idiot, I know he's a heel, but he should have enough wherewithal to not underestimate Brandon Cutler, who's obviously been given a contract for a reason. The Young Bucks wouldn't just give it to any jobber out there. And I'm really thinking that here's the thing, if wins and losses do matter, and they have MJF lose to Brandon Cutler, that it's either very hypocritical if they have MJF into the main event scene and make him a future contender for the world title, to lose a newcomer like Brandon Cutler, someone who hasn't really got much credibility to his name as a wrestler when the big lights are on. So they just can't be hypocritical about it. I mean, MJF is definitely one of them guys you look at and you think future world champion or future mid-card champion. He's going to be one of them big names that 10, 20, 30 years from now you can say really made AEW what it was today. So yeah, I think I just gave it too much explanation. You could really point it and pin it down to a squash match and paint Brandon Cutler as another jobber, but there's obviously going to be more to this because this match just had some pretty good build-up heading into it. So I'm going to go with MJF to win, and maybe we see MJF, by the end of the new year, sort of around their world title picture, because I believe he is that caliber of a superstar. Yeah, MJF to win.
I have a feeling, MJF, they have a lot in him. He is one of the major bad guys of this promo here, of AEW. You could tell, he's got the full arrogance like The Miz, except he cranks it up so much. So, having him, to be honest, there's been some times where he's taken the loss, but for the most part still, I think we really, honest to God, should genuinely actually give him a damn, quite frankly, because, well, let's see here. He lost the Casino Battle Royal, and he was actually the second to last in that match. He lost in the Fatal 4-Way at Fyter Fest, although he did win in that 6-man tag match. That's really about it, though. I have a feeling they need to really get him to walk the walk, in addition to talking the talk about how he's supposedly better than us, and supposedly we know it. I have to put all those in air quotes. But yeah, I honestly think they should get him back up a little bit too, because I have a feeling he's going to be a big player. Not sure what the future honestly holds for Brandon Cutler, since we don't know much about him. But I'll just go with MJF. And finally, we're at our 5th and final match, Adam Hangman Page versus Pac. Now, they were originally supposed to do this match at Double or Nothing. Unfortunately, there was some, shall we say, creative issues. At the time, Pac was holding the Open the Dragon Gate. I know he was still a champion at the time for Dragon Gate still. I'm trying to fully remember here, but basically the thing is, though, he was a champion at the time. Open the United, that's Dragon Gate USA. It was Open the Dream Gate Championship. He was in Open the Dream Gate champion at the time, actually, and didn't want to lose at the time here while still champion. So what ended up happening was that basically they did the match off pay-per-view, at a separate show, actually. I forget exactly where they did it here. It was at WrestleGate Pro a week before Double or Nothing. Page won by disqualification. Pac attacked Page's knee and said that it was his goal to injure Page, and with that done, he had no reason to show up at Double or Nothing. That's how they wrote it off the card. He was then set to team with the Lucha Brothers to face the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega at Fyter Fest, but when the tickets were released on May 29th, he was removed from the lineup. And wait, who was it then? Here, if I could find it. And it was a Laredo Kid who ended up replacing him. Yeah. And Pac ended up replacing Jon Moxley at All Out against Kenny Omega after Moxley was diagnosed with an MRSA staph infection in his elbow. And Pac actually did defeat Kenny Omega, shockingly enough. He actually went and beat him. And now, they're finally giving us this match now, which is something crazy here. I didn't think we would ever see it in AEW, but we're actually getting it. Heaty, who do you think's gonna win?
To your point, I do think this is absolutely the same. We're getting this match on the inaugural show. I mean, on NXT side, you have Matt Riddle and Cole for the NXT title. I think this is a good way to combat that. It's really going to be a who's who of where the views go. And yeah, I also agree that it would have been a great pay-per-view match. And interestingly, I think it still can be. You mentioned that Paige won by disqualification when these two wrestled a few weeks back. And to be honest, if there was reports that Pac won or Paige won by pinfall, maybe it'd be a bit more cut and dry as to who I think is going to win this match. But they did save it. They didn't let any man take the pinfall loss. I mean, yeah, both guys are relatively strong. I mean, despite losing to Jericho for the world title at All Out, I still think Paige is one of, if not the guy, that the biggest guy that AEW are keeping on their radars, making the future top guy. Some fans aren't sold on him, but I think it'll be a case of, not to the big major extent of Roman Reigns or John Cena, where there'll be some few doubters, but I think they'll just come to respect his work. Pac, on the other hand, he's heading right into the world title scene. He's going to get that title shot. It's just a matter of when. It's inevitable. Beating Kenny Omega on his debut doesn't really get much bigger than that. I think that if they were to have this match at All Out, or whenever it was, I can't remember, but I knew they were having a pay-per-view match. It was scheduled. I feel like it would have gone the same way their match a few weeks back at that show would have gone, with a Page disqualification. I think, and this may be a crazy theory here, I'm not too sure how many people echo my sentiment, that this match was always penciled in for AEW Full Gear. I think this will be a number one contender match in the future, which is why I'm going to be a bit controversial here, and I'm going to say it's a time limit draw. I mean, I don't think they want to make Hangman Adam Page the scapegoat for Pac, not by any means, but Pac's on such a roll of momentum right now. It just kind of makes sense that Pac's going to be the next rightful challenger for Chris Jericho whenever this next show is. I don't know when the next pay-per-view is, or if they're going to do it on live TV. Details obviously aren't available because this is just absolute theory right now. So Hangman and Page, I think they're going to just build this storyline off that Jericho loss rattled him, and they're gonna go to time limit draw. Then at Full Gear, he's gonna lose, and it's gonna set a new spark new fire underneath him. Basically, they don't want Hangman Adam Page to lose his very next match after his world title loss against Jericho, because that kind of diminishes his value as a main event player. What with the win-loss ratio, and of course Pac, he commands respect when it comes to booking him, and having him lose to Hangman Adam Page, I don't think he's ready for a loss just yet. I'm not too sure he even wins the title in his first shot, but I don't think he loses yet. But I don't want Hangman Adam Page to lose either, because his momentum just falls off a cliff right there and then. So I'm going to go with probably the stupidest prediction I've made in a long time. I'm going for a time limit draw, also with a rematch added to Full Gear.
Very tempting. I don't know if I'd call that the stupidest prediction, because we've made some stuff and we've shocked with how things turn out. I mean, look at most of our WrestleMania 34 predictions. That show made a damn fool out of us, and oh god, just the way the booking was on that in general was such a mess. But here, though, I don't know really. I mean, yeah, Hangman lost his title match with the goddamn Judas effect to Jericho at All Out, and yeah, that was a bummer. On the other hand, Pac, though, is gaining momentum. I don't know if you really need a full time limit draw, if there even is one, or even any kind of disqualification victory. If all it takes is a simple set of singles wins to get you back up and running, or get you in, as shown with Cody, maybe they might be fine with him taking the loss here. On the other hand, if they wanted to protect both, they could find some other way to do it, to maybe protect them both, and we could potentially see a rematch at Full Gear to determine, or whenever maybe, to determine who could win. But I don't know. Probably Hangman will have to get in there at some point in the picture, but I think with the way Pac is going, I kind of see him being the one to win. So I'll go with Pac, but I don't think it's exactly gonna be a clean win. There's probably gonna be some shenanigans in there, and something could happen. What exactly? I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking. So Pac to win with shenanigans. And there we go. This was probably a little bit shorter than some of the more recent stuff we've been doing, but it was a nice little diversion to talk about the first episode of AEW Dynamite. This should be pretty damn good, actually, though. And also Jon Moxley is appearing live as well, so that'll be nice. So strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. October 2nd, 2 hours. Ooh boy. And if you're like me, you're probably going to find a way to try to watch it and NXT at the same time. Don't worry, I know how that feels. Too bad I don't have enough room on my desk at the moment for a multi-monitor setup, but if I did, this is probably why I would do it. I want to thank Heathy once again for being, as always, being here with me, and for suggesting this episode idea. Thanks once again, man.
No problem, it's been a pleasure, but next week we're in for a hell of an exhausting time, aren't we?
Not just all the wrestling, but we've also got predictions for Hell in a Cell coming up whenever. Hoping maybe I'll get that out next week if we can record it on Wednesday, October 2nd. And yeah, a match card should hopefully be set up by then, and we'll have this out, hopefully to have this out sooner today at the time of recording on September 29th, September 27, 2019. But yeah, we'll be there then. Next week is going to be a hell of a week. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be doing a live watch-along, live reaction to the first episode of SmackDown on Fox. They're going back to the old Friday Night SmackDown name. So head to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/CoffeeLover239. In addition to me streaming other games, I'll probably be doing some live wrestling watch-alongs there and stuff. So we can all go in, watch, and chat and all that stuff. And I'll be on the voice chat as well in the server, so if you want to come talk with me live as we watch, be my guest. Once again, link to the servers in the description below. You know where to find my Twitch, and we'll be back for a Hell in a Cell, possibly next week or so. Yeah, so until then, see you next time.